All right. I hope you like our new venue. We decided to try this. It's the same cost as the senior center. We thought it would be more comfortable, and we're able to use their AV equipment, which saves us dragging it around and making sure it works. So I've got a mic here to help the gentleman in the back. Okay. Just to familiarize yourself, remember where the exits are when you came in, and when you go out, to the left are the restrooms, and there's some water in the back. I think first I'd like to start by just introducing the folks on the condo trust. So I'm the chair, Barbara Murphy. Jeanette Sandblum is our secretary. Betsy O'Connor is our treasurer. Mary Northup is the liaison to the Kingsway Trust, so she does double duty for us. Phil Amara is our election chair. Gary Buckler, Mary Gessner, Art Nedley, and Joe Donahue. Okay. This meeting, unlike the summer meeting, is a joint meeting of both boards. So we are both going to do presentations for you. So the timeline I want to try to keep to, we've got 2 hours in this room. I want to keep the Kingsway Condo Trust presentation to about 45 minutes. We'll do a 5-minute break and then 45 minutes for the Kingsway Trust, and hopefully that will leave us 20 minutes for questions and answers. Okay. All right, in all these meetings, there's always two kind of key questions. Why do we have an annual meeting? And why do we have more than one trust and more than one board of trustees? The annual meeting is required by our documents. The summer meeting is not, but we've been doing summer meetings for a while. So the annual meeting is required by the documents that govern the condo trust. Okay. And obviously the point of the annual meeting is to fill you in on important issues that are facing us as a community and to give you a chance to ask questions on what we've presented. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. I like that one better. All right. Why do we have more than one trust and one board here? When this community was being built out, Admiralty Heights, the 19 units in Admiralty Heights were already here. When the Green Company came in, we have 456 units, condo units, the 19 in Admiralty Heights, and the 191 units over at Heatherwood. Now, each of those entities are governed by their own documents. They have their own board of trustees. And then it became obvious with the Green Company that there are certain things that everybody shares in common here. There were certain what we refer to as amenities that everybody contributes to with their condo fees, you know, such as obviously the wastewater treatment facility is the huge one. Common buildings that we have in you know, the meeting house, the pool, the restaurant. So there had to be a trust that dealt with that. So how they set it up is that there are 5 individuals on the Kingsway Trust who represent the condo units. There are 3 people on that board that represent Heatherwood and 1 from Admiralty Heights. So that's why we have the 2 boards. And I know it gets confusing. I interchange the terms and make mistakes myself at times, but that's why we have 2 trusts. I had to hear it probably at least twice at these homeowner meetings before it started to sink in. Okay. No, that's good. Okay. I'm going to hand it off to Megan. and she's going to do the property manager's report. Where are you? Here you are.
Good evening. So I will do the property management report. I'm going to introduce our property management team, as well as you'll learn some about Barkin Management. I'll go over everything we've accomplished this year and the plans ahead. As I introduce the team, I'll give you a little bit of information about what each of the staff members brings to Kingsway. So Kingsway is managed by Barkin Management Company. Jerry Meany, right here, is the VP and Regional Director. He's a tremendous source of experience and knowledge for myself and Kingsway. Myself, Megan Leoff, the property manager. I have a bachelor's in psychology, master's in business administration, and come with some experience in real estate, loan origination, and management. And then we have Nefradija Barbell. You can call her Nef. She's running the slides. Nef has a bachelor's in psychology as well and a master's in public administration. She comes with a lot of great experience, including working at the State House in Boston as a legislative aide. Then we have Krista. Krista studied business and English at Dean College. She has several certifications in project management and a lot of experience in that area. Michael Maniatis. He's our facilities manager. While I'm kind of managing what's going on inside, Michael keeps tabs on everything out on the property. So he's wonderful to have. He's a certified wastewater treatment operator. He did his training at Mass Maritime Academy and comes with a lot of experience in property management. Lenny is not here. I'm sure you all know him. He's on vacation this week, but he's wonderful at carpentry, jack of all trades, and he's been here as long as Kingsway has. I tell him he's legend. Jonathan has been here almost 17 years. He is a certified arborist and has pesticide license. And then Nicole Gomes, Nikki, she is our irrigation specialist and jack of all trades as well. She's entering her 3rd year and came to Kingsway with experience in grounds management at other properties. I'm going to hand it over to Jerry, and he's going to talk a little bit about Barkin Management, and then I will continue on with my report.
Thank you, Megan, and good evening. Very happy to be here. My name is Jerry Meany. I'm with Barkin Management Company. I'm a vice president and regional director. I've actually been with Barkin now. I'm in my 19th year with the company. I've actually worked for 4 other major management companies in the Boston area. Some people may remember Hunneman Investment Management Company out of Boston. I was with them for about 5 years. When I left with them, I went to a smaller management company called Goldweights & Company, and then with the Niles Company, which is a fairly large third-party manager in Boston, and American Properties teams, and they also, both those companies, manage some communities on the Cape. But my longest stint now has been with Barkin Management. We were hired by your board and very fortunate to be hired, and again, we're very happy to be here and we're honored to have been selected. We're in our 14th month, I think, 14th month. And I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress. I've really enjoyed working with this board as well as the Kingsway Trust Board. And I think we've accomplished quite a bit in the 14 months that we have been here. We've seen some turnover, obviously, in the management office. Renee Rothman, who was with us for a few months, passed away, as everybody knows. We're very sad to see her go. But as sad as it was to see Renee go, very happy that Megan has taken over. I think Megan's a huge asset to your community. Hopefully you enjoy working with her. I know she's enjoyed working for the community. Very smart, picks things up very quickly, and we look for good things out of Megan, as well as the rest of her team. Barkin Management, I think we're the largest third-party manager in the Commonwealth. We manage property in 5 other states. We're in Washington, we're in Virginia, we're in Hartford, Connecticut, we're in Providence, and Massachusetts. So is that 5 or 6? I'm not quite sure. We recently opened our office in Barnstable, probably about 2 years ago. We decided to expand our business onto the Cape, and we're very pleased that we're able to do that. Just in these past 2 years, we've picked up 6 accounts and we're growing. Our phone's ringing. People are showing more and more interest. Our condominium association is showing more and more interest in our services, and we certainly hope to be a prominent figure on the Cape as we are up in the Boston area. So we have, as you can see, our client portfolio of 128 condominiums, 5 co-ops, 32 apartment communities, and 8 commercial properties. And of course, 131 of those communities are board controlled. And when you talk about board controlled communities, when it comes to condominiums in the state of Massachusetts, any condominium management company can be terminated for cause, with or without cause, with 60 days notice. And we're very pleased that the average term of all of our contracts has been 12 years. So we're very proud of that record, and we're looking forward to maintaining that record as well. These are some of the services that we provide. This is actually part of our sales pitch when we do sell the company to condominium associations, so you can see that what we do offer. And then we also have a fairly large team. I don't know if we've gone by that slide or not, but I would like to just talk a little bit about, there they are. So this is the corporate staffing. Bill DeShino, who's the president of the company, has been with the company for around 25 years. He is the one who has been instrumental in growing Barkin Management over the last 25 years. Jim Mirsky is our CPA. He was very much involved in the transition and continues to be involved in all of the communities that we manage, but he was very involved in the transition from your old management company, which was the Dartmouth Group Associate, to Barkin Management. And then, of course, myself. Mike Pasquino, certified property manager, actually lives in West Yarmouth. He was available to Kingsway while we did the drainage issue. And he was, because he was local, he was able to attend meetings quick, and he visited the site on my behalf. Cindy Ecker also lives in Yarmouthport, and Cindy is also available to Kingsway, to me, to Megan, to any staff member, should that be warranted. And then Maria Pizzuto is a controller within the company, and she is actually the lead staff accountant for the community, and she works very closely with Megan and her team on the monthly financial reports. And with that being said, that's Barkin Management in a nutshell. Again, we're very happy to be here, and we look for a very long relationship with both communities. So I'm going to turn this back over to Megan. I think she has this your management report, and Megan's going to just talk about the management report. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to go over everything, all the projects that we've been working on the past year. At the summer meeting, I kind of gave you what we had done, in the first half of the year, so there will be some overlap. I'll go over the full year. So at the Meeting House, as you all know, there was a large project, engineering project, adding wall supports to the Meeting House, also installing new decks and a ramp. The flooring in the meeting house is new, and the walls have been painted. It looks beautiful. The downstairs bathrooms have also been redone with new tile flooring and paint. Over at the office building, we've installed new decks and ramp, put in a new post office door, and as you all know, the property management office moved upstairs. I believe it was the end of January of this year. At the clubhouse, a new HVAC system was installed. That was a huge project up in the attic. The restaurant flooring in the central bar area dining room was replaced. Did some plumbing upgrades and recently purchased a new cooler for the bar. At the wastewater treatment plant, there were several upgrades and repairs. We installed the electric gate that hopefully provides the homeowners in the Boxwood area some more privacy. And all of the upgrades at the plant really increased the max flow from 80 gallons up from 30. So the plant is working much more efficiently now, and we're looking forward to staying on top of all the repairs to keep it running, as it's a very important asset for this community, and we couldn't operate without it. On the grounds, we did a lot of paving throughout the circuit and the villages, driveways and walkways. The flowers looked beautiful this year. Irrigation is an ongoing project. Thankfully, we've got Nikki to man that. Been working on a lot of pruning, branching, and brush removal. There's a lot more that we would like to do in that area, and we have budgeted more for next year to hopefully tackle the ever-growing vegetation throughout the community. The drainage systems were installed, and we purchased a new tractor. It's going to be very helpful in plowing, as well as digging holes for irrigation and tree stump removal. And the pickleball courts. So thank you very much to Pete Marinelli and his team of volunteers who worked tirelessly on that project. Is he here? I don't know. But he completely dedicated himself. It even involved driving to Georgia and back, so if you see him, say thank you. So with the drainage systems, you all know there was historic rainfall in 2017. We worked with coastal engineering on kind of diagnosing and creating a plan to increase drainage in the community, and new drainage systems were installed in Wildflower and Forest Gate. There was also some catch basins installed in some various places throughout the property, and other improvements to drainage. With the condominiums, we worked on 99 units for the trim and paint cycle this year, where all trim that was rotted was replaced. All trim on the building was painted. Courtyard gates that were rotted were replaced, and those were all painted as well. We replaced many privacy fences. There are many more that need to be replaced, and we are looking forward to creating a schedule that will help us tackle the ever-growing fence replacement needs. Dryer vents were cleaned this year when the windows were washed. Gutter cleaning starting this week, and the re-siding project we've kicked off. I'm sure you've noticed the 2 crews throughout the community, and Jerry is going to talk about that in just a little bit. And we've also been working on replacing some retaining walls that have been failing. For work orders, 891 work orders have been completed as of today so far this year. They come in fast and furious, and we're doing everything we can to keep on top of them. So thank you to the maintenance staff. We're also been working on a project in the office on creating better communication with all the homeowners on the status of your work orders. So, so if we haven't spoke with you yet, hopefully we will be soon, and look forward to that. Condo Cafe is a large part of that. That was launched earlier this year. It's a homeowner portal where you can put in work orders, communicate with property management, communicate with other homeowners. You can post to a bulletin board where anyone could see a message. We share documents like the Kingsway Crier and the meeting minutes. And you can look at information on your account to check your account balance. The projects ahead we have for next year and going forward are the siding project. We kicked it off this year. That will continue. The buildings are aging. There's a lot of kind of catch up to do and a lot of work to get everything in good working order. We've created a 20-year schedule, thank Jerry Meany for that, that has all of the capital improvements needed throughout the villages. And we have a plan to replace the siding, the fences, retaining walls at a schedule that's financially feasible for the community, but can keep on track for each unit. And so many of the work orders that come in and such will be grouped in that fashion. And that's all I have, so I'm going to pass it back to Barbara. Right? It's your turn.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I'm passing it to Jerry because he's going to talk about the siding project.
You want me to hold this?
It works best for him if you like clip it.
Clip it?
Clip it like this or something.
Huh, okay. Thank you, Megan. I did want to just make a couple of points about the siding project and just try to explain sort of the method to our madness. You know, typically when you look at a siding project, you would anticipate that when we attacked a building and replaced the siding that we would do all 4 elevations or the entire building. We're actually approaching this a little bit differently, and I think there was some information that was put out in the crier about this just to give you a heads up. But in looking at the size of the property with the 456 units, the number of buildings, and of course the number of square feet of actual siding and lineal footage of trim, it didn't make sense to actually do an entire 100% of one building, because there was 2 reasons for that. One was cash flow, and the second is that by the time we got to the last building, the siding would probably be all laying on the ground anyway. So what we've done is the approach that we took after consulting with the board, consulting with experts, engineers and consultants, et cetera, is we're actually approaching this on an elevation basis. And when you look at your buildings, the southwest elevation of all the buildings is the worst when you look at it. Those are the buildings where the siding is black. It's all curling and cupping off the building. I refer to it, it looks like bad teeth. The trim is in bad shape. And so what we decided to do was let's approach this and just attack it by elevation. So we're really going around between Mike and myself and the contractors, and we're selecting a majority of the southwest elevations on the buildings, and we're replacing them that way. So when we do your building, if we haven't already, and you're looking at just why did we just do one elevation, well, that's the reason why we're doing it. And we've got this program set up so that we're hoping that every single building will be done over the next 15 years. It's not feasible financially to try to do it any sooner. We could, but then I think you'd be looking at significant increases in fees, which I don't think anybody wants to see. And we just think that this is the right approach. And the siding and most of the other elevations are actually in pretty good shape. The second thing is that we're replacing all of the trim with PVC board. So the trim isn't actually wood. Once this trim is replaced with a PVC, you'll never have to touch it again. So right now you're on what, an 8-year painting cycle?
5 years.
It's a 5-year painting cycle. Some communities we get away with 8 years, but it really depends on exposure, location, etc. But this, it's called a Borel board, and it resembles something very close to the rough sawn textured wood that you see on your trim today. We've got 2 crews who we're working with. One is Cantera from the Cape. The second crew is Prime Touch. They're actually out of Natick, Mass, but do a lot of work on the Cape. I have a pretty good relationship with Prime Touch, where they've been working for me for about 10 years. I know Cantera has been on the Cape and has done a tremendous amount of work at the property as well. So we actually set it up so that Cantera would start on one side of the property, would put Prime Touch on the other side of the property, and hopefully meet in the middle. The reason we did that is really for fairness. We didn't want just one side of the property being attacked while the other side of the property wasn't being addressed at all. So that was sort of the method to why we actually brought in 2 different contractors. They're very competitive in their pricing. We actually negotiated so they're both charging the same amount. Kingsway is actually buying all of the trim board so that we're not allowing them to buy it, and then they step on it. When I say step on it, they're marking it up because of the administrative cost, and they're out to make money, and they're in business and they should make money. So Kingsway is actually buying the wood ourselves. We're having it shipped to one location, which is at Cantera's shop. Once it's in that shop between Cantera and Prime Touch, although I think Cantera's done pretty much all of it, we're painting it inside his building so it's climate controlled, because we wouldn't be able to paint it outside in this weather. So it's all being painted inside today. It needs to sit for a few days before you can actually use it. Once it's installed, then we're able to touch up the stainless steel nail heads that you'll see on the trim board. So we think it's a good program. We've got 2 very good contractors working this. They're working together, they're friendly, they've agreed to work together, and we're really quite pleased today with the quality of work that they're doing. We hope you like it as well. It is a little bit disruptive. You know, we can't help but trample some perennials around the buildings. That's just going to happen. It just happens in construction. But we think that they're both courteous contractors. They're neat and clean. They clean up after themselves. And again, we're pleased to have them here. So this all fits into our 20-year schedule, which I know Betsy's going to talk about a little bit under the financial report. And if everything goes well, then in another 15 years, and I know it's the green banana theory, some of us might not be here in 15 years, but we think it's a good plan, and we're really looking forward to accomplishing this great task here at Kingsway. And I'm sure people may have questions, and I think you're going to wait until the end for that. Yeah. Is that what you're going to do? So thank you very much. Oh. Yeah.
All right. How are we doing for time? Oh, good. I'm going to keep my comments brief. Did it come off already?
Yeah,
already. Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep my comments brief because I know Betsy has a lot to cover with you. All right, state of the Kingsway condominium community. You know, I can't say enough about what a terrific board you have here and what a terrific property management team you have. We've worked really closely together and on, addressing your immediate needs out of the operating budget. And, we're always cognizant of trying to be proactive and plan for the needs of an aging community. It's a real challenge. We've got a Barcan management, and Megan were instrumental in getting us on track with a good reserve schedule. It's kind of a living, and breathing working document, and we look at it often, but we need to increase that reserve fund. As you know, this year we've drawn down, Betsy will talk about this, significantly out of that reserve budget to deal with the stormwater drainage project. That was not on our radar screen at the beginning of the year. There was no line item for that in our reserve study. So we had to scramble, figure out how we were going to pay for that and how we were still going to keep on top of all the other needs that this community has. Okay. Again, I just want to say how great it has been working with Barcan and the property manager. They've kept us on budget, which is amazing, and we even had a small surplus at the end of this year, anticipated small surplus that then is going straight into reserves. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Betsy.
I'm on. Hear me? Oh, I want everybody, just look happy.
Do you want this little thing?
Not really.
Okay.
Do I have to have that little level there? Okay. All right. There's good news and there's bad news, as always. How many of you were not at the summer meeting? I know we have a lot of new, okay. So if you have questions afterwards, please come up and talk to me or send questions into the management team and I'll get them and be able to respond to you. I'm not going to go in as much detail as I did at the summer meeting. Okay. Want to go? You can keep going. Go. Okay, here we go. I got my little budget here. This is the budget we worked on for this year, okay? This is the 9/30/18 actual, that's 3/4. Now, I know that's confusing because it's December and we're doing year end, but they were the best numbers that we could work with at that time. We don't have November numbers yet. That would not come out until next week. So we used 3/4 and did our forecast from the 3/4 of budget numbers. Okay, so here you go. Total revenues and our year-end forecast. We're going to be just really close to being right on target. If you recall at the summer meeting, we were going to fall about $39,000 over budget. And I promised you then that we were working really hard with Megan and her staff to make sure that we balanced out at the end of the year. So here's the good news for tonight. You go all the way down here. Okay, there's our reserve contribution. We're $33,000 over. So we have a surplus of $33,000 that's going to be going right into the reserve account. So we went from a negative of 39,000 to 33,000 over. So that's, congratulations. Where's Hannah? Right in the back there. We beat her up a lot. I will tell you that. Every meeting, we really beat her. We have whips and, okay. The other thing that I wanted to point out on this particular budget is the very large number, maybe it doesn't, we're under budget here. We're under budget on administrative and common area expenses, taxes and insurance. And where's Joe? Joe, he did a great job getting us a new contract on our insurance. And we saved a significant amount of money, as you can see, from what we had originally budgeted to what our forecast is for the end of the year. One of the things that's a negative up here, and I know you're all going to be very disappointed to hear, that in the new budget next year, we are not going to be including the cost of window washing. We've had many of you say, why do we have to pay for that? It's not a reserve expense. It's something that happens every year. So what we're going to do is give you a list of places you can call and maybe like on Boxwood, we could all get together and find one vendor who would do all of the windows on Boxwood. Or you could just do them yourself or not do them. It would be your choice. But that was a pretty big ticket item. And we decided that it was more important to do some of the other things than wash windows. The other item that's not going to be in the budget going forward is dryer vent cleaning. And you know, we used to, I don't know if you remember, anybody remember when we used to pay for that? We used to write a check for $35 or whatever. Okay, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to pay the whole bill like we did this year. It was a little over $20,000. Again, in 2 years, we will give you a list of vendors that you can contract with to get your vents cleaned. And you will have to do that. You will be required. It's not going to be by choice. Okay, but it's just, keep it in the back of your mind. Those are 2 items, $40,000 that's not going to be in the budget next year. Okay, want to go to the next one now? Okay, here's our 2018 budget, our year-end forecast, and that's the one to put up 2019, and there it is. Okay, here's our condo fees. We're going to pick up a little in condo fees. I do show the variance. Utilities is going to go up a little bit. We're pretty close. We're not too bad on this. Operations and repair and maintenance. Down here, you can see it's -6. All the way down to our reserve contribution of $558,000. And as you recall from the summer meeting, all of these numbers are shown in thousands. So where it says 41, that's not $41, that's $41,000. The other thing I need to remind you of is these are pro formas. These are not audited numbers. When the audit is done, some of these will change, and I'm going to show you where they'll change when we go to the next slide. Okay? Oh, everybody celebrated when they got that in the mail, right? Said, oh, wow, that's really great. I'm going to have to pay more money next year. Okay, I'm going to show you why. Next slide. Okay, this is the slide that I used this summer, and here's the 2018-2019. And I took just an H unit for an example. The H unit homeowners have been paying $619 each month. And 15% of it went to common area, 12% went to wastewater, the treatment facility, 12% went to open space, 19% went to the reserves, and 42% went to operating expenses. Okay? This year, 2019, there's a 4% increase in the common area. And the reason for that is they needed a little extra money because they had some really huge expenses this year. It turned out to be about $2 a unit. It's a very small amount. Okay, so it went up $4. These stayed the same, and now we got down to reserves. We hear you complain, we hear you talk about how awful it looks. We had one resident say, I'm embarrassed to have my friends and my family come visit me at Kingsway. The bushes are overgrown, there's weeds, the shingles are black, the roads are flooding. I mean, it was just, we hear you, we're listening all the time. The only way we can fix these things and be proactive instead of reactive is to increase our reserves. So we had told you in the summer meeting that we would be increasing it 5%. We really wanted it to be 0. I'd love to have everybody standing up and dance because it's a 0, but we need to fix all these things. The only way to do it is to increase reserves. So we increased reserves at 10% amount. So for an H unit, it went from 273. That number's not right. 105 to 116. So now you know why your monthly fee is going up. It really is for reserves. Okay, could you go to the next slide? Okay, reserve budgeting. I spent a lot of time talking about this at the summer meeting. And when we look at different things, projects that needed to be taken care of, we knew that they had to meet 4 tests in order to be put into a reserve schedule. And these are not really our guidelines. This is a national guideline, and the IRS has something to say about this too, folks. So it's not just us. We have to make sure that everything that we spend our money on from the reserve account meets these 4 tests, and there they are. Quantity, remaining life, useful life expected, and current replacement cost. What got confusing here at Kings Way is that each one of the villages was built at a different time. So, for example, in Boxwood, we don't need to have our shingles replaced right away. They're not that old. But at Kate's Path, those shingles needed to be replaced and then start that project right away. So we had to do each village individually and then dump them all into one great big huge spreadsheet. These are the components that we have on our reserve budget. Now, here's an example. You see gutters. That's not cleaning your gutters. That's replacing your gutters. Everybody gets the difference between cleaning as an annual thing, replacing the gutters meets these 4 tests. Go to the next one. Okay, now we're going to look at the reserve report. Here's the original schedule. We call it a schedule rather than a budget because it's constantly changing. Here's the original schedule for 2018. Here's our year-end forecast. Right away, I went right to that and said, 149,000? Wow, that can't be right. We're doing all this work. The problem is we're doing all the work now. We haven't gotten the bills yet. So when we have the audit in the spring, all of the work that's being done at the end of November and in December will be adjusted by the auditor. So you can anticipate that this number, 149,000, is going to increase by another $350,000. So almost $500,000 inside in the trim. The other number that looks a little strange is this drainage number. The work on Wildflower, for example, we know the total bill was $127,000. It only shows at 107 because some of it is in asphalt, some is in retaining walls. It's spread a little bit among the different components. Okay? So if we have another 500,000, it changes this. We're still going to, another 350,000, I'm sorry. It changes this. Well, we're still going to be pretty close to what we had scheduled. Okay, you want to do the next one? Here's 2019. Folks, this number will change with the audit because we're going to be spending more money here. So it's this number minus this gives you that. That number comes up here to the top. It's rolling. This budget constantly rolls on to the next year. But you can see we look pretty good. Next one. And there it is through 2025, and that's what we don't know in the red. I have included, just for your information, the sales and transfer fee and what would happen if we had those funds in there. But Gary's going to talk about that a little bit more. Okay? If you have questions, come up afterwards or send them into the office and we'll get back to you. Okay?
We're doing good. We're on schedule. We take a quick 5-minute break. No more than that. We're back. Thank you.
Hi, honey. Do you want these in front of you? Okay, well, no, it doesn't matter. We'll just do what I have. We'll just do the introduction.
All right. Well, should you want it?
Okay, honey. Okay. No, thank you, babe. Okay, evening everyone. I'm going to be talking about the Kingsway Trust, but I just want to say one thing. For all those people who wanted to be on stage, well, now's your opportunity. We're all on stage. So let's smile a little and do a little dance. Okay, so the introduction from Kingsway. Thank you. I'm Marion Vizeo, the chair, my last year there, thank you. Russ Gessner, our treasurer. Mary Northrup, who's our double agent for the condo trust and the trust. Dorothy DeZamba, thank you. Steve Krinsman, Jerry Weiner, Bob Hubby, and Rachel Spector, who's unavailable to be here tonight. And next slide. Go ahead, Neff. Okay, so we're looking at the Kingsway Trust with our budget. And as you could see, the first column is the account description. All the data shown are in thousands, as you could see. That's not 4,300, it's 433,000. The next column is the 2018 budget. The third column is the actual for 3 quarters ending September 30th. The fourth column is the forecast for 12/30/18. Take note of the forecasted amount for contractors, repairs, maintenance. It's at 42,000 over budget, which you can see right here. This, and yeah, it's, well, it says 42 on my paper. Okay, thank you, but it's 38. This is attributed to the work on the meeting house that has not been budgeted, which we've had quite a lot of work that we had to do this year. Okay, and then we will begin with the showing of the account of the 2018 budget and year-end forecast. You have to slide, I think, Neff, right? Yeah, there we go, bring it up. Okay. The 2019, we have to bring up the 2019 budget. Thank you. All right, the 2019 budget, and note the increase of $22,000 in the revenue. Move to expensive. There's a 4% increase in the common areas expense, which was shown on the slide on how your monthly fee is being spent. And then in our new business, coming to 1937, that should show us was a 37,000. It's a new revenue over expenses. Yes, right? Right, Chair? Yeah. Right? Well, honey?
That's the variance.
Yeah.
The next
that's
column over is, no, the bottom line is 2, so you're basically a cash flow.
We're at a cash flow.
Right.
Okay, good. All right. All right, we'll do the next one. Yeah, that's very little. The wastewater treatment plant, yeah. Okay. All right, so as you can see, the 2018 budget for the wastewater treatment facility, the revenue is slightly reduced. There we have that. I've got my little pencil here. I don't know where it is, right there. And expenses are increased by $30,000. 33. Okay, thank you. Okay, but we had a surplus of $32,000 from 2018. These aren't audited figures, but I just would like to say that the escrow account of the wastewater treatment plant is in a CD with collecting 2.5% interest, which we haven't gotten that figure, so we will be over on the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, what's next? Russ Gessner, who would be doing this, our treasurer, is not really up to par, so they allocated me. So there we go. Okay, so we'd like to congratulate Il Montebello on their success for being here. And as you all know, they have signed another 2-year lease. They have a lease up to 2026. And we're very happy that they are here. And we're really hoping that everyone patronize Il Montebello in the future, because we definitely need your support, even though they're doing excellent, and we're very proud and happy to have them here. Okay. This is the Miller Gillard Golf Management. This is what he sent us. This is a picture. This is Bob Miller. Joe Gillard, unfortunately, they're not here tonight. This is from Bob Miller, what he had to have to say about what's happening in the year for the golf. He wants to wish us all a happy new year. They didn't get to read it, Neff. Have we all read it? Pardon?
What does it mean when they say that they're concerned? I mean, are they losing money? Are they making money? Or what's the deal?
We can ask that question later. We want to move on, and then we'll answer that question afterwards. Go ahead. Well, he wants to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. Okay, so this is open space. And next, Neff. This is common area. Everyone wants to know what's open space, what's common area. And those are the two. The open space we showed you on top, and now this is our common areas. Open space, common areas. And then you can relate to what the two are. Thank you, Neff. And now we have our open space agreement. The $350,000 for the next 2 years, it was originally 3, but 1 year already went by. We've allocated the $350,000, but he's only receiving $325,000. We've taken $25,000 out of that $350,000 to put in an escrow account to be used for future use of the golf or any repairs that need to be done. Okay. Here we go. This is the DEP mandate. If you don't know, the DEP is Department Environmental Protection, is what it means. And they came to us and told us that we had to have a reserve and an escrow account of $726,000. Obviously, we didn't have that. So we've put together the $250,000, and at the end of year, every year, starting with 2018, which already received the 2018, I believe we have, and then we start with 19, 20, and 21. And then at the end of 2021, we will fulfill that obligation, and it will be in our reserve or an escrow account of $726,000 with an excess of $73,000 or $76,000 that would go into our wastewater treatment reserve account. Thank you. Okay, did you want to do this?
Yeah.
Well, come on up, kid. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you so very much.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Here's your notes. Okay. We've got 3 trustees leaving the condominium trust, and we have 1 trustee leaving the Kingsway Trust. I'd just like to say a little bit about Gary and Art. Gary's been on the trust for 3 years with me. I got to know Gary. For those of you who don't know Gary, he's a man of few words. He also served as liaison with the trust while he's been with us. I've really appreciated Gary's input on the board. He plays kind of a role of a kind of a devil's advocate, and make sure when we're weighing a decision, pros and cons, that we've really fleshed out the entire argument. So he's been a real asset, especially to me as the chair on the trust. And I just have a small token for Gary. Thank you very much. Now, Art Nedley is really, I think you could say, an institution here at the community. He goes way back to when this community was developed with the Green Company. He actually served on a committee with the Green Company. And then when we transitioned to away from the developer and we moved to a professional property manager, Art continued in his, he continued on the Kingsway Trust. He was many, many years on the Kingsway Trust, and then he's been serving on the Condo Trust, and he was our treasurer for, I think, what, 2 years? 1, 2? Okay. And I really appreciate Art. I was taking a course at the community college on humor. And I don't know if many of you are like me. I never can remember a joke, never mind the punchline. So I asked Art one time, I said, I've got to come to this class and find, deliver this joke. Can you give me a couple of jokes? And he did, and I couldn't use any of them. None of them were clean, and none of them were PC. Anyway, thank you very much.
At this time, I'd also like to thank Barbara. She also is leaving us. Thanks for being a phenomenal chairperson. Organized, diplomatic, and caring. She truly cares about our community. So good luck with the future. We still need you.
All right. We're going to move now. Oh, you got to do Bob Hubby.
Okay, I also wanted to say while I was here, we developed a committee for the Meeting House rules and regulations, and I want to give kudos to those people that were involved. Peter Bono, Donna Hirschberg, Dot Samboni, Betsy O'Connor, Mary Gessner, Mary Northrop. They did a fantastic job. So we had to upgrade them, renew them, and the Meeting House rules are now in order, and you'll all be able to see that when you come in if you want to use the Meeting House. You'll see the new form that we would give to you. Now for Bob Hubby. Bob Hubby's been on our board 3 years. Is that correct, Bob? 3 years. Been on our board 3 years. He's a gentleman among gentlemen. He's going to be surely missed. We're going to miss him, but he and his wife want to travel, which I don't blame them. I wish I could go with them, but I want to thank him for all his humility and graciousness and respect that he gave us on the board. Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Now we're going to move into the election results, and Phil's also going to talk about the social events. So, where you go? Where are you? There you are.
Well, first I'd like to talk about the social events. Mary Jo Gregory couldn't make it tonight, and Barbara and Mary Jo asked me to get up and say a few words. I'm on the social committee with Jeanette Sambloom. So anyway, she had a fantastic year. She did so many different things this past year, and unbelievable. The art show, if you missed the art show, you missed a good show in the Meeting House last month. She had 3 concerts on the green, an Oktoberfest that she never had before. She had a steel band on the pool deck that was really a great success, and all the BYOBs on a monthly basis. And there's one left on the 21st. If you're interested, there's flyers in the social center. That's where all her information is. But she's really good, and she works very hard. All right, now the elections. I want to thank everybody that helped stuffing the envelopes, and I want to thank staff, Neff and Krista, and Mary Northup and her husband Ken. We counted the ballots, and we did it last Friday. So there were 6 people running for the board, all solid, strong candidates, but we only have 4 positions open. I wish all 6 could come on the board, but there's openings next year. We have 2 for the Kingsway Trust and 3 for the Kingsway Condo Trust next year. So that's 5 openings. So if you want to put up the results, Neff? All right, would you stand up when I read your name? These are the 3 people from the Condominium Trust. Thomas Altamari. Norm Constant. And Kevin Matty. And believe it or not, Barbara Murphy is making a lateral move going over to the trust. Okay, thank you all.
Gary's going to talk about the transfer amendment.
This is a single issue regarding the transfer amendment. And first of all, the Condo Trust would like to thank everybody that voted in this past election. And the final vote for the transfer amendment was 191 in favor and 63 opposed. We hope in time all will see the merits of this amendment. This amendment gives us something we've never had before, a needed second source of income. This additional income will help the Condo Trust preserve Kingsway and protect your property values. Excuse me. Hopefully, with the passing of this amendment, we will reduce the need for special assessments and ease some pressure on your condo dues. We are currently notifying all lien holders of this amendment, and this transfer fee will take place January 1st, 2019. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see how, oh good, we got plenty of time. We're going to move into homeowners' comments and questions. I've been told to make sure that we get all these comments and questions recorded. Would you, when you get up to state your question, state it twice so we don't miss it on the recording. What we'd ask you to do is when you stand, state your name and address. Only homeowners obviously can speak. And we're asking you to keep your question to one at a time so we can make sure we get everybody an opportunity, and also so we can make sure we get the right person up here to answer your question, if you can state what your issue is about, okay? Yeah, we're going to, Phil and Nikki are going to walk around and get you the microphone. Are you going down? Go over there. One down there. She's got one. The other one's down there.
I get to be first. Tom Hickey, 154 Kate Staff. I've got a couple questions, but I'll just ask the first one first.
One at a time.
I know. I agree. I get you late. I'm not sure we're maximizing our resources. I see by the Kingsway Trust budget that our other income is continuing on the same level. Simply put, my question is, why aren't we leasing out or renting out the property that Park and Management used to occupy the Lowe's Post Office? Seems to me, and in the summer I asked a similar question about microwave towers. I was told, you'd have an answer for me later. So we're not maximizing our resources and our income, and I'd like the Kingsway Trust to address that, please. Thank you.
We moved our property management upstairs because we had an environmental come in for air control. And they found that the air control is very bad and poor down in the basement. So for the health sake of our employees who had suffered upper respiratory illness, we brought them upstairs for their health condition. Downstairs is only being used for our copier machine, for the boys that work outside, and the men and women that work outside. They come in, they get their orders, and they go out. Lenny has his garage there, which he uses with all kinds of chemicals, so there is not able to have anyone to be able to be rented downstairs. And also the hill is a factor, having anyone coming down there. We don't want a lawsuit because it's very dangerous. That's the reason why we don't rent out the downstairs, okay? That answer your question? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Just sorry about that. Pardon?
Well, one question.
On what?
Steve, what's the deal with cell towers?
Oh, well,
Yes,
we
Steve,
didn't, we,
let
well,
Steve
somebody
answer
else
that, yeah,
talked
he
about
can.
that. We did, the trust never come up here and interested in that, so.
You researched that.
I spoke to Jeff Colby over at the town hall today. The issue has been there are going to be 2 cell towers on water towers near exit 8. We've been waiting, or the town has been waiting for Verizon to sign the leasing contract. One contract has been signed, the other one is expected to be delivered to the town within the next week or 2. That means Verizon will be paying leasing costs, which should incentivize them to activate the 2 cell towers that are going to be closer to us, which should improve dramatically the cell tower reception that we have in Kingsway. So it's probably another month or 6 weeks, whatever, before they hook everything up and we'll be able to hear each other. Thank you.
Hello, George Capola from Blueberry Path. I have a question for Mr. Meany in the Barking Group. Does all of your staff that you've had in Massachusetts have a 183A training, the statute?
What do you mean by training on 183A?
Do you understand the rules and regulations that require the homeowners who work to access information regarding the homes and their financial position?
I'm very aware of the rules and I know how the rules work.
Okay, so no homeowner should be reasonably denied the audit review that's performed by the statute.
I understand what the statute says, but I don't make the rules on the property. Those rules are made by your governing boards. So at the end, all we can do is advise,
Correct.
okay, and make recommendations. At the end of the day, the final decision is the board's, not Barking Management's.
That's not what the statute says.
No, well, then you need to read the statute because it doesn't state that.
I have read the statute.
But it does not state that the management company makes the rules.
The one who is recording the records of the organization, 50 or more.
Yep.
If I request a copy of the audit review, I don't need authority from anyone to get it.
Right.
So I was denied.
Again, all we can do is advise and make recommendations. At the end of the day, the final decision on how the property is administered is left with the board, not with Barking Management.
Okay, I'll deal with it.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm, just to clarify, Barking Management is not governed by 183A. The condo trust is. The trust is not governed by 183A. And 183A does state that we need to provide homeowners, upon request, photocopies. So I know you had sent an email into Megan, and I asked her to respond back. I don't know if she's had the chance to do it. What I would like is just, a formal request to me, and state your reason, and then we'll go from there. So, yeah, so, no, we're perfectly well aware that, we need to provide that to. I can only answer for the condo trust. Yeah. Right, and we don't have audits, as you're quite well aware. We have financial reviews. And no, we're more than happy to do that. It's available to anybody. Copies, photocopies. I'm not going to send it out electronically. There'll be photocopies. Yep. But, send me an email because we just want to keep a record of it.
The other auditor that I was involved in gave it electronic.
I checked with past condo chairs, and at least for the condo trust, that wasn't done. I don't know. They don't have, I've never seen I've never received, as part of a member of the board, electronic, but. No, we're just required to do it, photocopies.
Well, then why don't you send it electronically? Because we don't, that's not our policy. And please use the microphone if you want to.
Yeah, and we need to, you know, you state your name.
Bono's going to speak.
Okay, go ahead, Peter. You've been waiting.
Well, I'm sorry to change the subject of everything. My name is Peter Bono, 19 Pine Grove. My issue relates to the decision about the dryer vent. And it's not because of the size of the issue, but it's a trend that I'm concerned about. So I'm going to state my specific concern about why you made the decision about that and my worries about going forward. And I don't know how the rest of the people feel, but I'm going to show how I feel about it. The dryer vent costs somewhere between, let's say, 35 and 50 bucks a unit. For me, that's $4 a month. Now, for me to have to arrange for my own person to come in and do the dryer unit, it's going to take me, my time. I'm still working. My time is worth a lot more than 50 bucks an hour. Now, I don't know how many people, maybe a lot of you don't value your time, but I think most of us do. Number two, Megan is going to have to, on behalf of the condo trust, make sure that every single one of us has gotten our dryer cleaned. If we haven't, and there's a fire, a dryer fire, we could be liable because we didn't take adequate measures. So it seems utterly stupid to remove $20,000. That seems like a big number, but when you divide by 56 units divided by 12 months a year, you're talking $4 extra on your HOA. That seems to me crazy. When I moved here, I moved to a condo because I didn't want to have to be worried about the details. Are you going to give me a list of snow removal people the next time and tell me get your own driveway plow? Well, you understand the issue, the trend that I'm concerned about.
Yes, and I have an answer for
your
you.
question, but I don't think any of us appreciate being called, characterizing our decision as stupid. It was made by the Condo Trust Board, and it was voted unanimously to eliminate that from the budget, and Megan will explain the reasons.
Yes, so first of all, your dryer vents, that is indeed a homeowner responsibility, as is the inside of your unit, doors, windows, decks, number of other things. In the past, the last time dryer vents were cleaned, it was done by rescheduled when the dryer vent was going to be cleaned, and sent out a letter saying that your, each unit would be charged X amount to have their dryer vents cleaned. Had you recently had your dryer vents cleaned, you could bring in, proof of payment, or that proof that you had had your dryer vents already cleaned, and you then would be taken off that schedule. It will likely be an arrangement similar to that going forward, because yes, we do need to arrange or to ensure that every single unit has their dryer vents cleaned. And it's not $4 a month because dryer vents are on a 3-year schedule.
Before we move on to the another question, I also want to state that, what we discussed at the Condo Trust was the quality of the service we were getting to clean those dryer vents. And our treasurer was going around Boxwood after they cleaned the dryer vents, literally sticking her hand or arm up those vents. They were not doing a good job. It was just superficial. It was just, I don't know how many feet into that vent. All right? Now, I've had dryer vents cleaned when I owned my own home. It's quite a project. It was, a couple of years ago. I've been here for 7 years. But you know, the last time I had to pay that for my own home, it was about $125. And it took them probably the better part of an hour to do it. We were not getting that quality service done. We felt very uncomfortable with continuing that as a homeowners association. That, you know, we were leading you to rely on that dryer vent cleaning that we came to understand or determine was not a good quality service. So we decided to eliminate that out of our budget and just get out of the business. But we will have a schedule, and you will have to provide proof that you've done that, and it'll be every 3 years. Next question.
Bill Peters, 234 Case Path. When we moved here about Bill Peters, 234 Case Path. We moved here about 3 years ago. We found a great community. Things look good. I am disappointed, however, that the garbage pickup is now in the summertime pushing 5 o'clock in the afternoon, resulting in hundreds of garbage pails wherever you look. Loose garbage. It looks like Tobacco Road. I think we have to get back to the old schedule. You put your pails out first thing in the morning and get picked up. And that's all I can say. But bring it back to the old norm that so many people enjoy.
And Bill, I've heard your concerns, and some of the fellow homeowners do agree. I've had equally other homeowners who say they prefer it being later in the day now, because now they're not putting their trash out the night before and putting it out in the morning. So differing opinions there are, but we have reached out to Cavosa multiple times to talk about that scheduling, and they were unable to accommodate that morning schedule for us.
We should have some clout. I mean, we've got more than 450 units. Is there another facility around here that has a better concentration? I mean, it's pretty obvious.
I don't make their decisions. All I can do is request, and you know, their contract. You know, when they want a new contract, that's up to them how much they would like to provide for us.
Why do we have to bow to them? Aren't we a big enough entity? Don't we have some clout?
They are doing the service that they've been contracted to do.
Well, we should go back to the old contract.
Hi, I'm Regina Hopkins. I'm at 15 Case Path. I guess I just make one comment and I have one question, which is, information that we're entitled to. I mean, people shouldn't have to sort of go through and tell you why they want it and stuff like that. Why don't we have that cafe? Why don't we just post it? Just post it so anybody can download it. I know that's how we haven't done it in the past, but there's no reason why we can't do it there in the future and take advantage of the technology that we have. That's all I want to say. The question I had to do is just the litigation and what's the status of that.
Okay. Do you want me to handle that, or do? Okay. Mary Northup's our liaison with the law firm who's handling that suit. It went for a summary judgment, and the court, you know, didn't issue an opinion, unfortunately, so it goes forward for trial. Right now, we have a trial date in August, so we're hoping with that trial date that will move both parties closer together to try to negotiate that. But, you know, that's the status.
Just a follow-up question. So you're not in negotiations now with the litigation in the law, right?
No.
Neither side has budged.
No. Yeah. And this is typical, you know, that nobody really budges until you get really close to a trial date. Neither party wants to go to trial. That's a huge risk for both sides. So hopefully we'll see some movement over the summer, but.
Bob Davison, on the Case Path. For the last several meetings that I've attended, I never see any detailed information about the golf operation And when I saw this slide today, and Miller talks about the weather impact and a bad season, I wonder, are we at any risk with the golf operation folding? Does it have any risk to us as homeowners?
No, I don't think that there is a risk for that. The trust, as you know, has taken over that's what's called open space. Bob Miller is MGGM, he's his own corporation. He and Joe Goulart maintain the golf course. As far as getting any information from Bob Miller, financial or whatever, he does send the trust monthly, which we haven't had in a while, a report, summarized report on this, sorry about that, of his finances. So we're working really diligently on trying to get some more information from him, but we haven't. But there is no risk. No matter what, the golf will always be there, because even if he does leave, there'll always be another golf pro that we could get to come in there to manage the golf. I don't think there'll ever be a risk for us at Trust at the Kingsway. Okay? Is that it? Thank you.
Jane Fleming, Kate's Path. This is more just a curiosity question. I never noticed until tonight that although there are much more condo owners and condo units than Heatherwood units, it appears that there are 3 Heatherwood representatives on the trust, but not 3 condo representatives on the trust. Why that inequality? How'd that come about?
There are five people waiting on the trust.
There are 5 representatives from the condo units on the Kingsway Trust, 3 from Heatherwood and 1 from Admiralty Heights. So there are 5.
Okay, how many at condo? 5.
You're asking about why there's only 3 from Heatherwood? Because we go by beneficial interest.
Okay, no, that wasn't it. When they were introduced,
okay.
I thought there were 2 from
right.
Kingsway condo, the condo. 1 from Admiralty Heights and 3 from. And the way they were introduced, I obviously misunderstood and thought there were more Heatherwood than anything else, which would be fine, but I just wondered why it would be.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we are missing a member of the Kingsway Trust. What are we going to do about it?
That's what this election did.
No, we won't put one more person on it.
No, now you're going to have 5 individuals that represent the condo community on the trust. We were down 1 on the trust. We had the special election, and the election wasn't valid because we didn't have enough people. So now the condo trust, the trust is whole.
So you've got 3 Kingsway residents.
You have 5. You have 5. You have 5? Huh? Okay, the 5 people on the condo trust, on the trust, even I get it messed up, going forward, are Steve Krinsman, stand up. So we know when you know, he won't stand up. Dot DeZamba,
2,
Mary Northup,
3,
Russ Gessner,
4,
and now me, newly elected. And then you have 3 from Heatherwood. Bob Hubby is going off. He's going off, but their board will appoint or elect, however you do it, a new individual ready to go in January, and then we have 1 person from Admiralty Heights, so it's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom Hickey from Gate Staff, almost every background. My issue is with parking management and the level of service that I perceive they're supplying to us. I think it's substandard. I don't know what our contract calls for in the way of service level agreements and service level measures, but clearly, in my opinion, they have not met my standards. I'll point out the debacle of the post office door and how many man hours that wasted of our time. And it still doesn't work. And by the way, the job isn't finished. You haven't painted the interior wood yet. And I did notice you did replace the light over the door so we could see how to open it just before the meeting. But on a personal note, on June 18th, I called the office. I had 3 items that I wanted addressed. And I got a call back, because I saved it on my phone, on June 18th, acknowledging that. But I went through the summer and through the fall. I made 3 appearances at the resident office inquiring. It seemed like each time I did, I was creating new work orders or something. Because I'd like to know how many work, you told us how many work orders you completed, but you haven't told us, and I don't suspect you told the board, how many work orders you haven't completed.
All right.
It wasn't.
No, I don't appreciate your characterization of the Barcan Management Company as a debacle. I would ask you to try to be constructive. No.
I'm trying to be constructive.
Well, you're not.
Because I think they should be removed.
Thank you.
It wasn't until December that one of the 3 items was resolved, and only because I had to ask one of the trustees to help out. So I'm not a happy camper. I'm not happy that. By the way, you can talk about improving communications. Some would be better than what we got now.
All right, thank you. I think there is room for improvement for sure on how when work orders come in and how we can get back to you. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way in Condo Cafe to generate an email back. That you get an email that it's been received, but there's no way to generate a response with status on where it is. So I'll let Megan address that, and I do appreciate your comments because there always is room for improvement, but I don't appreciate your characterizing the Barcan Management as a debacle.
The work orders in the system, those that have not been completed, doesn't necessarily mean they're all in queue. We have, as Betsy went over in detail, a reserve schedule with a plan to improve the bigger picture. The fences, the retaining walls, the trim, the siding, roofs, asphalt, all of those things. Many of the repairs need to be done in that fashion to use your money most efficiently. I would absolutely like there to be a good system with work orders to communicate with all of the homeowners. The number of work orders that come in is fast and furious, and there are a lot of other things on the property that our staff is also doing, maintaining the grounds, the landscaping, the wastewater treatment plant. I've been working with Michael to develop a system where he can reach out to every homeowner individually, review any work orders that are attached to that unit, make sure we haven't missed anything. And he and I have been creating a schedule where he's calling and reaching out to a certain number of units every single day so that we can, within a couple months' time, make sure that we have reached out to every homeowner. So we hope to improve the system more in the future.
I'm Terry Driscoll from Forest Gate, and thank you for playing catch up this year, all of you, and working really hard. I know it's been overwhelming, and it's overwhelming for everybody. Things are just piling up, and I know you're going to do that. So on that note, I'd like to thank you. And then my question is, again, I know you're working on this, but could you just tell me the status of the light that's not working outside of Forest Gate when we turn into the entrance? Because we need reflectors, help us.
Hey Terry, so I understand your concern. We started with 3 lights out on the circuit, if you're familiar, and working with E.W. Drew, they're our electrician who we use for a majority of our electrical problems at Kingsway. We were able to, figure out what was wrong with the 2 circuit lights adjacent to the one you're talking about. Unfortunately, E.W. Drew's been back a number of times trying to figure out where the fault was with that light. Unfortunately, we don't have any plans or diagrams that show us where the wires are. They're not in conduit, they're just in a ditch. So unfortunately they've exhausted all options trying to find where the fault was. I talked to them earlier this week, and we're going to be moving forward with digging a trench and running new wire to the light. That was worst case scenario, and we're at that point now. So I'll be scheduling that with them as soon as possible. It might be in the spring depending on the weather, but the hope was to be able to find the fault, which would save the association money and to keep the the in-place infrastructure of the light, which just isn't possible. So I appreciate your patience.
Thank you. Just a suggestion, I don't even know if it can be done, but I know there's like 2 floodlights that shine on our street sign, Forest Gate. Can one be attached to it, just turn it around so it can shine on the entrances by chance until that can be done? Just for thoughts.
I mean, I can meet you over there and we can see if there's any solutions, but them jumping off one of those lights to the pole will be the long-term solution when they do that. All right.
I'm Steve Berglund from John Hall Parkway. We've been at Kingsway now for 2 years, and we're very happy to see the progress being made on obviously the large maintenance program required by a mature institution as this is. Question in a totally different direction. Has there been any curiosity or interest in the possibility of a solar application here at Kingsway, either PVC on the roof or turbines?
We are going to have the wastewater treatment plant and the golf maintenance shed looked at to see what the sun quality would be. That's a near future plan, having that evaluated to see if there would be any merit into getting solar energy from that area. There's a large surface area on both of the roofs. I'll also mention that we've had not just the RISE engineering program within the condominiums, but they're also going to be upgrading the electrical work throughout the Kingsway Trust, lighting and such, to make it more efficient and use less energy and save a lot of money.
Gino, 232 Cates Path, which is in Fairway Home. First of all, I want to say that I've been here a little over a year, moved from private home, and I was kind of fastidious about having projects done, and I could have them done immediately. And I realize that's not possible when you live in a community. But that being said, I want to thank the staff because I feel that they deal with, at least me, in a respectful way. If things are not able to be done immediately, I feel like I've been treated respectfully. And I appreciate the efforts. I think it's probably been daunting catching up on projects that haven't been done for a long time, like all of a sudden having to replace all these fences. So I just want to say thank you. I don't have a history of living in a condo. I don't know what to expect, but I appreciate how I've been treated. In the budget that was presented in August, it was indicated that work would be done on the interior of Fairway Home. And this is in reference to a letter that I drafted with the assistance of other residents. And I was wondering when we might be informed of what interior work will be done on the budget that's been projected for 2019.
We will replace the carpet in the elevator, swap out that plant in the entrance, and get new light fixtures on the console table. We think the paint is in all right shape. We have it on hand for touch-up as needed, but the walls seem in good enough condition to us, and the carpets will be shampooed as well.
The vestibule carpet is an ongoing issue, and I don't know how to solve it. It's cleaned and then the dirt just rises right up. Is there another product that would be more appropriate for the vestibule instead of the current carpet, so that it looks more presentable but easier to maintain in a nice...
We can explore that option.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I am Brian Sewell, related. Not anything to do with you. First, I'd like to compliment you on many of the improvements that have been made. I think it's been a real highlight to see painting and new floors and things of that sort. The recycling bins seem to have a capacity that is 24 hours long, and it's always at the 25th hour, and down they kind of drop stuff off. And you can't add any more dumpsters, I don't think, without polluting the whole area. I think that needs to be addressed. Second issue is not an issue, but concern. We have a number of younger people moving in, and they seem to have a tendency to walk or run. And I think that's great, I really do. But there are times during the day when you don't see them that well. Some are with hoodies, older people with hoodies, gray hoodies, so you can't see them. I think if we ask those people to wear yellow jackets of sorts, with some type of illumination that would make them more visible, that would be helpful, and probably better for everyone.
Sure, we can put a notice in the crier about that.
Yeah, and you know, I'm concerned about that too. I'm out there every day walking a dog, and I see people come in on that circuit road.
Use the microphone.
And I see people come in on that circuit road, and they are going much too fast, to the point where I've actually stepped out to stop them and speak to them. You know, a lot of it, I think a lot of them I've met when I've sort of stepped out into the circuit are, you know, outside vendors, contractors, someone coming in to Heatherwood. But I wish there was a way to slow people down. But that's a good suggestion. We can put that in the crier and suggest to people that they, you know, be sure to wear something reflective. Maybe just one more question, and then we can get people on their way. Is there anything?
I think we should thank everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Bill Reynolds, 36 Kate's Path. I'd like to just address it in the siding job that's being done, apparently over the next 15 years. And I understand from what I hear tonight from Jerry and Mike that the siding is going to be done on certain sides of the buildings that appear to be worse, the south and west side. I wonder if everybody understands that by doing this, that part of their siding is going to be new, part of it is going to be 30 years old. In my particular case, I had to have some siding done under my dining room window about 4 years ago, so that siding, although my old siding is 30 years old and very dark, this siding is now faded to a certain point. And now somebody came by a year ago without even telling me and stripped my chimney area and 5 feet to the other side of it and reshingled that without doing anything with his trim boards. That apparently was done to find out what was underneath the shingle. Now I have 3 different levels, ages of siding already on that place. If they do my west side, which is the garage front side, I'll have 4 different aging shingles on my unit. This is not going to look very good. And I just wonder if everybody understands that, and whether...
I'll have Jerry address that.
You know, and one of the reasons why I sort of wanted to explain the method to our madness is that just for that reason, is that, you know, we are attacking this or approaching this by doing certain elevations. And I totally understand exactly what you're saying, because we've discussed it internally in our office, we've discussed it with the board, and we are well aware of the aesthetic appearance that this is going to create in replacing just certain elevations. If we look at your particular building, and we can look at others as well, and it makes sense, you know, aesthetically, and looking at the condition of the shingles to do additional siding, we can certainly take a look at that for consideration. But again, as I said in the beginning, is that the way we are approaching this is to just do elevations. Otherwise, you know, if we do entire buildings to make them all look uniform, by the time we get to the last building, it'll be too late, and it won't even be the last building. So that's, well, right. So as we go around these buildings, you're going to see new shingles and shingles that might be 5, 6, 7 years old. These white cedars will eventually turn silver after a while, but it does take some time. But again, I think this is the best approach for us without actually taking all of the money out of the reserves and doing the entire property. And you wouldn't have enough anyway. We're looking at we're looking at almost $12 million to replace the siding and trim on the entire property. So, and I know Luke's up in the back, and he's grinning at me right now. Luke and I have had this conversation a number of times, and there was actually a study done by you know, an outside firm consultant who actually put together the plans and specifications, which I took and put into our own bid specs. And when we put this out to bid, we put it out to 6 companies, but that's aside from the fact of what your concern is. So again, we think it's the right approach. If we need to amend that, then we'll amend it, but I think that's something that we'll have to discuss, you know, internally with the board. I'm sorry? Right. Right, when we look at the elevations, right. Right. And
all right, I see everybody's kind of heading out.
Of board people.
Yeah, I know. Board people, yeah. I want to thank you all for coming. I hope you all appreciate all the hard work by both boards.